Okay, so we are doing something new. This is being live streamed for some online classes, so bear with me. We'll see how this goes. Also, the nature of this workshop, I'm going to be bouncing back and forth between my slides and ChatGPT quite a bit, okay? So I know that can kind of get, and I know this screen isn't the best, which I heard good news, this is going to be replaced soon, so we'll be able to see this screen better. I'm going to be using a lot of prompts inside ChatGPT, so I actually made a printout back there of the prompts, so if you want to get that, if you didn't grab it, please do so. I also went ahead and put a flyer because our events are just now kicking off for the spring semester, and we have a lot of workshops coming up. Obviously, the career fair is coming up the end of this month, so we really try to pack a lot in these next few weeks. So we hope that y'all can track all of those events and become a part of that. Let me tell someone something real quick. Okay. All right. So how many of you are currently using ChatGPT in your everyday life? Almost everybody, right? Okay. So if you're already using it, this won't be quite as overwhelming. But if you've never used it at all, this is probably going to scramble your brain a little bit. I get that. Because even as I made this workshop, I was confusing myself. Okay, but what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about different ways that you can actually use ChatGPT in your job search, all right? Okay, so first let's get into, and my screen won't even, okay, so first let's get into responsible and ethical uses of AI. So always remember, okay, and I know when you're going into your classrooms, they're addressing this straight up, right? They're telling you whether or not you can use AI on your assignments. How many of your classes that you're in are letting you use it? How many of you have a class they're letting you use it? How many of you are not allowed to use it? Okay, so most of the time you're not allowed to use it, right? They're not wanting you to generate your essays, your answers, and that kind of thing. So don't think of it as a negative thing, because it can be useful in everyday life. But you don't ever want to use it as a crutch either, okay? So let's talk about the responsible way to use it and understanding its limitations as well, because there are limitations. It doesn't always give you correct information, but the way we're going to have you using it in the job search, that doesn't happen as much, okay? It's mainly giving you ideas and giving you thought generation, all right? So avoid copy and paste. Please do not. We're going to copy and paste into ChatGPT, but the results that it gives you, I don't want any copy and pasting off of ChatGPT into, for instance, your resume or job applications or any kind of correspondence with employers, okay? You can use that information for ideas, but you're not going to directly copy and paste. Avoid misrepresenting yourself. Let's say it generates this amazing bullet point for your resume, but you don't actually have that experience, don't use it, okay? So keep that in mind. Do not put any personal identifying information in there. So when you're going to copy and paste off your resume, don't put your address or anything like that. You don't even need to put your name in ChatGPT, okay? Make sure that you validate anything that you're coming across. Make sure you're reading it, make sure you're understanding it, and then translate the content into your own authentic language. Fact check if you're using it that way. We're not really going to be using it for facts for these purposes. But also remember, if you generate something in ChatGPT and you're planning on using the idea that it gave you, even when you change the wording yourself, you do need to review that and say, does this sound like AI? If you say yes, then don't use it, okay? Employers are not going to be impressed by you giving this ultra wordy, fake bullet point on your resume that they can tell right away that you did not write and that you use ChatGPT for, they're not going to be excited about that, okay? All right, so that's just kind of going into some of the responsible and ethical uses. Yes?
So is it a bad thing to, what I like to use it for is
Proofreading.
like my objective on my resume.
I mean, I wouldn't use it as your only source. You know, you could to see if it catches anything, but I wouldn't use it as your only source. I would use more a spell check or Grammarly or something like that. Okay, so these are the different ways you can use it. So personalizing your career path. So I know you're all business students, right? We know that, okay. But maybe you're not sure if you're majoring in the right thing, or maybe you're like, okay, I'm majoring in management, but I really don't know what I want to do. So play around a little bit with ChatGPT, and let me tell you, and I say ChatGPT, you can use any AI source you want. That's just the one I always go to. That's the one I always use. I'm not sponsored. Just kidding. Anyway, so that's the one I use. And so I always refer to it as ChatGPT, but you can use any AI resource that you want. But it's all about the prompts. Okay, so the better the prompt you put in, the better the information it's going to give back to you. So think of things like, okay, if I'm trying to search a certain like major or degree plan, you can ask, put information in, tell them your role, tell them that I am a business major, majoring in management. These are the types of activities I enjoy. These are some of my strengths. This is my my Myers-Briggs 16 personalities code, which if you've never taken that assessment, it's a great way for you to learn about your personality. Put things that motivate you, your strengths, and then enter, and then see what information it comes up. And it can give you a bunch of different ideas as far as career paths. So I've come up with an example for you. Hopefully it's going to work. Let me show you real quick. I have these preloaded, by the way. So I already put the prompts in. So let's go back up here. So here's my prompt right here, okay? So a lot of times what helps, some people get stuck with the prompt, but what helps me when I'm creating a prompt is I put myself into the role of asking AI, the AI generator, what I'm needing. I'm this person, this is what I'm doing, can you help me with this? Okay, so you're kind of like creating the role. I'm a college student majoring in management, looking for ideas for possible career paths. I entered in there what I love doing, some of my strengths, and also my Myers-Briggs code as ISFJ. That's not really my code, but I put that in there, okay? And then look what it came up with. Based on that information, it gave me 5 possible career paths, okay? I could say, more ideas, please, and it will just keep going, okay? So this is a really basic way if you're really starting to try to think, okay, I know I've got this major, but what am I going to do with it, okay? Like, what are some job roles I can do with this major? All right, so does that make sense on that one? Okay, let's go back to, okay, so that's using it for that. Now let's talk about how we can, whoops, this thing is sensitive. How we can use it to improve our resume. We actually do have an entire workshop on using AI in your resume. It's coming up. It should be on your event flyer there, but we're gonna touch on it real quick here. So one way you can use it is you can use it to help you identify keywords and skills necessary for specific roles. Okay, I'm gonna show you how to do that. It can help you level up your bullet points, because a lot of times we struggle writing those bullet points, and sometimes you're like, this just sounds blah, it just sounds plain, and this can really, really help you with your bullet points. Also, it can help you identify gaps. So find out what you're missing between the actual job description of the role that you want compared to your actual resume and your actual experiences, okay? So you can use the two to compare, all right? So this one's really fun. So let's go and look at some of these examples. All right, let's scroll back up and see what the prompt was. I'm a college student headed to a career fair. What are some good questions to ask the recruiters who will be there? Very general, okay? This applies to anybody. And ChatGPT is so nice, says, great question. Here are some questions you can ask recruiters to show your interest and learn more about the role and company and make a memorable impression. Questions about the role and career path, about the company culture, about training and development, current industry trends, next steps, and staying connected. Boom, in 2 seconds, you got all that great information and ideas on questions to ask at a career fair, okay? Some of this won't resonate with you. Some of the information you get back from generative AI, you're gonna be like, no, I would never ask that. That's fine, okay? That's fine. That's why you have to read it for yourself and decide what works for you. But isn't that fancy? Such great information. You can also use generative AI to optimize your LinkedIn profile. How many of you have your LinkedIn profile? Most of you have one? Okay, if you don't have one, you need one. Every business student is expected and needs to have a professional presence online, and LinkedIn is your way to do that, okay? So some ways that you can use ChatGPT. For time's sake, we're not going to go into every single one of these and do it, but I'm going to tell you basically how you would do it. So you know the little information underneath your name is called the headline. It's going to probably pre-fill to either your most current role or student at Texas Tech, and you can't get any more boring than that, okay? So use ChatGPT or AI to help you create that headline. And you simply go in, your prompt is going to say, I'm a college student, marketing major, graduating in May of 25, whatever you want to tell it, information about yourself. I would say, you could even go ahead, what I would do is go ahead and copy and paste your resume in and say, please help me, or before you put the resume, please help me create a headline for my LinkedIn profile. Paste, resume. And it's going to give you multiple ideas. Now, some of them are going to sound like AI. Again, okay, you're going to kind of regenerate those. You're going to massage those a little bit, but it's going to come up with some really great ideas that sound a whole lot better than student at Texas Tech. The next section that I see the most commonly missed in LinkedIn profiles is going to be the About section, and I think it's because students don't know what to put there. Okay, it's a big open block, and people are like, I don't know what to put there, so they just skip it, because LinkedIn will let you skip it. But I highly recommend you don't skip it, because it's such a great place for you to be able to talk about yourself and give more information to an employer in a easier way. Like, you can speak in first person, write in first person in there, not speak, write in first person. And it's just prime real estate for you to be able to introduce yourself and talk about yourself. But again, if you don't know what to put, copy and paste things in, like your strengths, your personality style, and your resume, and see what it comes up with. Please do not copy it and paste it, but it will definitely give you some great ideas to bounce off of. And then you can also use job postings inside LinkedIn, copy and paste those job postings, and then, from LinkedIn into ChatGPT, and let it evaluate that job description for you and help you pick out things like keywords, okay? If there's a role that you're really gunning for when you graduate, find job descriptions for those roles and let generative AI kind of pick those apart and help you find the key skills that are necessary. A lot of what drives LinkedIn is the keywords inside of your profile. That's what drives LinkedIn. And if you've got the right keywords in your profile, you're more likely to come up on searches for recruiters. And if you're not sure what those keywords should be, that's what you can use generative AI to help you discover what those keywords are. Any questions about how to use it on LinkedIn? Okay, and I think this is the last one, how to use it to prepare for interviews. Okay, this is also great because you can definitely just copy and paste again job descriptions. So the jobs, let's say you've got an interview coming up, you should have a job description for that role, whether you found it on, hopefully you found it on Handshake or the company website, or maybe even LinkedIn. Copy and paste that job description and ask ChatGPT to help come up with behavioral style interview questions to help you prepare for that interview. You can even copy and paste your resume in and say, based on my experiences, please help me come up with answers to these questions. I mean, it's amazing. It really is amazing. You can also discover potential questions to ask the employer at the end of the interview, okay, which you should always do. You should always ask questions. So let me show you this example. Okay, this is a lot. Let's scroll back up to the prompt. Okay, what did I do? I put myself in the role. I'm telling ChatGPT, who am I? What's the role? I'm a college student preparing for an interview with Lockheed Martin. Based off this job description, can you come up with some behavioral style interview questions I can prepare for? Can you also please give me some possible questions to ask in the interview? And what did I do? Copied and pasted that exact job description. Boom, right there. Okay, started, it's long. There we go. Copy and paste the whole thing. Don't even pick and choose, just copy and paste the whole thing, okay? And then eventually we finally get down to what it generated for me. So it gave me 6 behavioral style interview questions to practice, and then also possible questions to ask the interviewer. So it won't stop there. You can ask it to keep generating more and more and more questions. Okay, so that's what's cool about it too, is it remembers what you're doing. It remembers your conversation, and you can just keep asking for more and more and more help. Okay, so I obviously recommend you always come into the Career Management Center if you have time to get interview prep help and also mock interviews. But this can be done anytime. Let's say you're short on time and you find out about an interview that's the next day and you don't have time to come into the Career Management Center. This would be a great way to see, based on this job role, what are some questions I can expect. Okay? Okay, one more thing. Also, so for follow-up, if you're struggling with how to follow up after an interview, like the thank you letter, things that you should bring up in the thank you letter, or let's say you met a recruiter at the career fair, connected with them, they asked you to follow up, or some other networking event and you're needing to follow up. This is a great way to get some ideas on some content for that as well. Okay, the opportunities, it's limitless. You can use it for just about anything. I do want to remind you also, just please do not copy and paste straight from there, and you really need to evaluate the information, and if it sounds generated, don't use it like that. That doesn't impress anybody, okay? People are using generative AI on a daily basis, and most jobs these days, you will be using it to some degree, but people are not impressed by basically you copy and pasting off of it. Because what does that mean? That means you really didn't use your brain hardly at all. For the prompt, maybe, okay? But we still want to rely on our own thoughts and minds to make decisions on the content that we put out there. These are some generative AI tools. I'm sure there's even more by now. Does anybody have one that's not on here that they like to use, that they know of?
Sorry.
No,
I use one called Llama.
What's it called?
Llama.
Llama?
Yeah, it runs on the computer.
Okay. How do you spell that?
Like Llama, LL.
Oh, like the animal? Okay, so that's one. Does anybody use Gemini? I haven't really used that one. I tend to just do ChatGPT. I kind of stick with the same one because it also can save your prompts. So like I've got these saved for this workshop, but I also have a bunch of other stuff I've been working on, and I can go back to those and refer back to some of those other prompts that I've put in there. I want to remind you that we do have that one coming up. They go into a little bit more detail on how to use it for your resume, but we also have a nice reference handout inside the Career Management Center on different ways to build your prompts, and kind of gives you some tips on building better prompts, because really a lot of the information you get back depends on the prompt that you give it, okay? All right, that's all I have for today. I'm sorry, I know we're trying to get used to this live streaming thing, but make sure that you signed in. Also grab a flyer and hope to see you at some of our other events.